Hello?
Hello, Thomas. This is
Hello.
Lama Tantrapa.
I'm going to try turning on the um, video here.
Great.
Didn't seem to work the first time, so... Oh, there we go. Seemed to...
Excellent.
Okay.
Works. Great. Good to connect with you.
Yes.
So, are you in Portland now?
I am. Yes, I'm at Airbnb in the Laurelhurst neighborhood of Portland.
Oh, fantastic. Welcome to Portland.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It was nice. It's my wife is, as I think I told you in the thing, my wife has Parkinson's disease, and
Right.
I've been her primary caregiver for about 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody told me I had compassion fatigue. And when I heard that, I went, yes, that's right, I have that.
That's exactly how I
And
feel.
I realized I needed. So I arranged for myself to have a vacation.
Nice. So somebody else is taking
So,
care of her.
A whole team of people are taking care of her.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
And
she needs 24/7, nursing level care. So
wow.
it was a huge deal to
Wow.
put together a time for me to have time off.
Right.
But that brings me to the topic of Qigong and medical Qigong, because she is pursuing a recovery program that was created by someone who actually lives in Portland now, whom I'm going to see while I'm here. And
Okay.
his protocol for recovery involves partially medical Qigong
Sure.
to strengthen the kidney and the livers. And so for a number of years, I have been her support person, and I have not really tried to do the Qigong with her because that was just one. I was too busy making sure she could get dressed and undressed and go to the bathroom and make sure that the dishes got washed and all that stuff that she can't do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that like Qigong was just like I can't also do that. But
Right.
I've changed my mind, partially because I don't know, spirits just told me it's time for that, and partially because I'm 64 and I'm choosing my own body, and I'm thinking maybe Qigong would be a good healing modality for me as well.
Right. Absolutely. I've not met anyone who would not experience benefit if they actually put it to good use. So definitely a good choice. Now, what's the name of the fellow who you said developed a protocol that utilizes medical Qigong for Parkinson's?
His name is Howard Shifke. He's
I'm not familiar with him.
his site at. Yeah, no, I think being known in the Qigong world, he's really focused on teaching full-time and coaching full-time this Parkinson's recovery protocol that he has like a whole bunch of people now are working with him, of whom now 5 have fully recovered from Parkinson's disease.
Fantastic.
Which is may not seem like a lot, but that's 5 more than Western medicine has done in 200 years.
Right.
So it's impressive.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
So yes, it uses medical Qigong as well as being based in the work of various other people, including a man named Dr. Shah. I don't know, you may have heard of him. He's
Sure, I know Dr. Shah.
fairly well known. Yeah.
I interviewed him on my show once.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's a
I know most of
mind and.
I know most of the Qigong practitioners and healers that are worth knowing because I have the talk show, as you probably know, The Secrets of Qigong Masters. And so every other week, I interview different masters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might be interested in Howard. He's a very much a niche guy, into Parkinson's, but very interesting. Anyways, I can, if you're interested, I can email you his website, which would be all you need.
Fantastic. Yes, that would be perfect. And also, of course, if I can be of help to you from my end, I certainly would be happy to provide you some help, assistance with learning Qigong, as well as applying some practices for your own benefit. and also learning how you may be able to help your wife as well. The thing is that I pioneered this whole profession called Qigong coaching. And Qigong coaching is often done long distance, but also works just as well face to face. So if you are face to face with your wife, you can apply some of the applications of Qigong coaching to her. And of course, even though you guys live in Kauai, I would be able to work with you long distance just like we're talking to each other now, even though both of us are in the same city.
Yes, when I worked at a cube farm in the Boston area, I often used to text and virtually communicate with someone who was 5 feet over that. So I'm familiar with having both options to communicate.
I see. So
yes, I'm very interested in forming a relationship with Qigong, and on Kauai, I suppose I'll find people. I mean, I've already found one person. His name is Zorik. He goes by the name of Zorik. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Never heard of Zorik.
He doesn't feel like he's very famous or anything, but
there is one. Actually, there are two people who used to live in Kauai who are pretty well known. Daisy and Francesco Garipoli. Daisy Lee and Francesco. They're divorced, and they don't seem to spend much time in Kauai anymore, even though they still own the property there.
They used to. No, they don't.
Oh, they don't?
They sold it.
Oh, they sold it. Okay.
But they used to live right up the other end of the street, the road.
Ah.
And I've been to to the place and taken a class with both of them, actually.
Okay.
Although that was before I had decided really to. Actually, I have a very dear friend, Terry, at the moment is traveling. Koti Qigong.
What's the name of your dear friend?
But they're not really on the island. Terry Nash is her name.
Uh-huh. Right, yeah, I hear that Francesco spends most of his time in Australia now, I think, and Daisy seems to be mostly in Europe and in Spain, or some such place.
Yes.
Right.
I believe that she was traveling around the states, mainland, but yes, they both are. They're really not on Kauai anymore. Although one of the things that has sort of been a step is I was reading Francesco's book, which I was quite taken with it.
Oh, the essence of Qigong dance or something like that.
I can't remember now the title, but it was very. It exceeded my expectations. I was like very interested.
Yeah.
So yes. So on Kauai, I'm sure I could pick up a class and learn from. And since I'm here for a limited time, I'm interested in. I guess more limited pieces of something, that I could pick up.
Sure.
Like do a smaller exercise that I could learn in one sitting, not a complex form that takes a long time to learn.
Well, if you know anything about my work, you may be familiar with the fact that I don't teach any forms. I don't.
Okay.
I never teach any. It's a rather unfortunate thing that when people think of Qigong, they think of forms. But I don't teach forms. I don't find them helpful. As a matter of fact, in many cases, I find them quite unnecessary. Simply because forms don't capture the essence of the energy art. By definition, when you focus on the form, the definition of focus means you're paying attention to one thing at a time. So you cannot focus on the form and focus on the essence at the same time, which is exactly why most people who do forms end up missing the essence of the energy arts, which is the ability to feel the flow of qi and be in the flow. And when you're doing certain routine movements, you are not in the flow. Even if you feel the flow is going somewhere, No, you're busy doing the forms that you're being prescribed. And so basically, it's the opposite of an intelligent approach to working with energy. And also often is based on certain assumptions that we know better where the energy should flow. And so basically try to direct it or control it somehow. And since we understand that the whole universe is made of energy, it's like trying to control the whole universe. So I certainly have a distinct and very simple approach to working with energy, and that is paying attention first of all, which requires actually another prerequisite, which is acceptance. Fully accepting whatever you're experiencing, which allows you to pay attention. If you don't accept something, you're going to be struggling against it. But if you accept it fully first, then you can actually pay attention to it, which allows you to learn whatever you can learn from it. And also you will discover for yourself that there is a certain ebb and flow to chi. So it doesn't just flow in one direction all the time. It always changes. It changes the most constant thing in the universe, right? So you basically learn how to pay attention to the flow of changes. And if you find a way to be in the flow, then you stop struggling against the universe. And that essentially is what allows you to experience this amazing wellness and well-being that people ascribe to Qigong practice. It's just simply not everybody gets it, because there are so many people who just got indoctrinated into the idea of doing forms, which is basically like trying to recite poetry in a foreign language. You may even get it right. You may even sound good, but if you don't study the language itself, you won't be able to communicate with anyone. You have zero proficiency, even though you may recite the poem or sing a song in a foreign language just fine. Does it make sense?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
What if you have a particular symptom or issue that you want to work on?
Right. So there are definitely ways to work with any type of symptoms. We also recognize that symptoms are, by definition, kind of a superficial manifestation of something that's going on with a person. So then we start identifying or essentially backtracking the flow. Where is it coming from? What is the cause, or the root cause, as they call it? And if we address the root cause, then of course the symptoms will be addressed by default. If we're just trying to fix the symptoms, usually it often leads to not really addressing the real reason why that's happening. And so either it comes back or just takes a different manifestation.
To be concrete, I'll talk about the symptom that I'm experiencing. About a year and a half, about April of last year, I took a trip to the East Coast, and when I got off the plane in Kauai, suddenly I had lost the strength in my left calf. The muscle that flexes the foot so that you can push off in every step, suddenly had hardly any strength. So I sort of have compensated, and I walk with something of a limp because I can no longer push off on my left foot. Mm-hmm. And over the course of a year, first I thought, well, I'll just, my default assumption is expect my body to heal and don't freak out and just give it time. But It's been over a year and it hasn't gone away. So I'm starting to think maybe I should be a little more proactive. Plus,
for sure,
a year of having no strength in my calf and pushing off muscle has forced so much weight onto my heel that's starting to be in chronic pain, and now I'm starting to feel stuff on my whole left side from being out of alignment for a year.
Absolutely.
So yeah. I don't know quite. I'm just making it up. I put all my weight on my right foot, and then I try and visualize chi through my left foot, and I exercise that muscle, put as much weight on it as it will bear, and put it through its range of motion. Mm-hmm. I'm just making shit up as I go along. But
and that actually is often the most intelligent approach. Because as you're making shit up, you are exploring. So you don't just operate on the assumption that you know what is going on or how to handle it. which in many cases is also what therapists, whether it's a physical therapist or Qigong therapist or any type of therapist, would experience too. They often don't really know what's going on, so they have to experiment. They have to do some tests, or they have to put you through certain range of motion exploration and basically find out what you can do, and most importantly, find the edge of your comfort zone. And by comfort zone, in this particular case, we may speak of comfort zone in terms of strength. Obviously, there is also comfort zone in terms of flexibility, or comfort zone in terms of, let's say, pain, if you feel pain in the heel or anywhere else. So what we learn is how to identify the strength, the maximum strength of the muscle, and then learn to operate at the edge of the comfort zone, because that's what allows that strength to grow. As you know, if you don't use it, you lose it. So basically, when people don't give themselves any challenge in terms of strength, they often start losing strength because the body just gets weaker and weaker over time. So it's a very intelligent approach that you just described to me. Identifying what your foot can handle or what your calf can handle, and then engaging the calf in strength training. Now, because it lost strength suddenly, of course, it would make sense to also look at what caused that blockage or that loss of strength. So it could be a nerve damage. It could be a loss of blood supply. So one of the things that I would have to check with you, for example, is if you can just check with your, is it your left leg? Left calf? Okay, so if you check with your left calf, is there any temperature difference between the left versus the right leg?
Never thought of that before, but
well, that's the matter of assessing whether or not you have the same level of blood supply to both legs. If one is,
it feels to me as if the leg is a bit cooler.
The left leg is cooler.
It's subtle, but it feels a bit cooler. Feels a bit cooler.
So you might have actually lost the tone of the artery supplying the blood to the muscle. Now, it may not be the only issue that came up, but it's something that I would certainly not rule out. Now, as you were touching your calves, do you notice any difference in terms of tactile sensation or sensitivity, the right versus left?
No, I don't. Other than the slight temperature change, one doesn't feel a different shape or muscle tone. Is that different to me?
Okay. So the ascending signals.
I do have a few.
So essentially, the ascending signals are more or less equal. Now, descending signals that go from the spinal cord to the legs may be different. How do we find out? Well, we basically test other parts of the leg or ankle. For example, if you just sit, let's say I just demonstrated with my own foot. If you just sit with your right foot like so on your left knee, can you make circles in one direction and another direction, clockwise and counterclockwise?
With my right foot?
Yep.
I don't know if I have my right foot on camera or not.
Yes,
but
I can see it.
Yes, I can
good.
make. That's not a problem.
Oh, fantastic. Let's switch legs. So the same thing with the other leg. How does it feel?
It doesn't really seem to be a problem. Maybe feels a little bit less fluid than the other one. Particularly right here, this part of the circle doesn't feel as full as it does on the other side. It almost feels like the circle kind of jumps from here to here.
Yeah. Would you tilt the
can almost
camera,
see it.
Would you tilt the camera just a tiny bit further down so I can see your foot better? Mm-hmm. Let's do this again. And would you slowly move so that you can tell me exactly which side of the circle?
Right here to here is where it sort of feels like it's not quite as fluid.
Got it. Okay.
Here to here.
Right.
Feels like there's something not quite full in the circle right there.
Okay. That's very consistent with tension in the calf. And the tension in the calf, basically there are two muscles that the calf consists of. There's the soleus and there is gastrocnemius. So I would invite you to do a little palpation for me. With the fingers, or even let's say with the thumb of your right hand. Yeah, with the thumb of your right hand. Let's see if you can just grab a hold of your left calf like so. Yeah, so with the thumb, yeah, see how you can apply a little pressure here on the medial side. Very good. Yes, very nice.
Just medial side is like the inside facing the other leg, sort of?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any discomfort or pain where you apply pressure there? Maybe a little closer to the knee.
Maybe right. I don't know if you can see where the thumb is, but
yes.
Right, maybe right about there.
Okay, yeah, that's the medial head of the
very slight.
All right.
It's not like ouch.
Okay, if it's let's move on from here to the center, basically the midline on the back side of the calf.
Okay. Yeah.
Also with your right thumb, let's see if you can palpate and tell me if you notice any discomfort or pain there. And you may need to go a little bit further away down from the knee to about 1/3 of the leg length down, of the lower leg length down.
Well, not really.
Okay.
If maybe right there, very slight. But
okay.
I mean, I'm dialing my sensitivity way up in order to find something. But if I was going to say one part, that would be it.
Okay. Now with the fingers of your left hand, let's see if you can palpate on the other side, on the lateral side of your lower leg. And let me know if you notice any area of tenderness or tension. A little bit closer to the knee, probably. Yeah, right around there.
No, I don't. No. That feels fine.
Okay, great. Now, if you put your foot down on the floor, with the right foot, can you do this? See, I'm just lifting my...
I can do that. Let me see if I can get this thing to point to the floor. I think that is pointing at the floor now, right? Yes?
Yes, I can see your right foot. Perfect.
Okay. Right foot is...
So if you...
this way?
Can you lift the heel up? So you're lifting it on a ball of foot? Fantastic. Can you do the same with the left foot?
Yes, I can, as long as I don't put any weight on it.
Well, there is some weight. Obviously, the weight of your leg.
Yes, I can do that. With that amount of weight, I can do it just fine.
Okay, so now let's increase this weight a little bit. See how I'm placing both hands on my knee? In your case, it would be the left knee. And see if you can push down with your hands and still push away from the ground, lifting your heel.
Yes, I still can.
Nice. So obviously you're putting some pressure, and that increases the weight, or put some load on that calf. Let's see if you can put more of your weight. You see how I'm leaning forward, so I'm putting
Yep.
a lot of my weight. See if you can do the same move again.
Now it starts to get. I can, but it feels like I'm at the edge of its strength.
That's exactly where we want it to be. The edge of the comfort zone.
Uh-huh.
Now I noticed that you have some darker spots on your leg. Did you have some injuries?
There's some band-aids.
Huh?
I just have sort of cuts and scrapes there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm unfortunately I have a bad habit of kind of scratching at them, and so I have to cover them up to keep me. It's kind of like one of those dog collars, you know.
I see.
Keeps me from doing that.
Okay, fantastic. So, as I just mentioned, the principle is to find the edge of your comfort zone.
Uh-huh.
And when you applied a fair amount of your weight onto that knee, then it seemed like you basically found that edge. Correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Now,
yes.
From point of view of Qigong practice, we learn how to identify where the flow is flowing. And it's easiest to find or to feel the flow when you're on the edge of your comfort zone. The reason for that is pretty obvious if you think about it. If you're in the middle of your comfort zone, you're really comfortable and probably underwhelmed. In other words, you don't really have enough motivation to pay attention to where the flow is going. If you push yourself over the edge into discomfort and pain, you're going to be overwhelmed because you're uncomfortable or you're in pain and basically trying to get out of that discomfort. And again, you're not going to be operating at that sweet spot. So essentially, the edge of the comfort zone is exactly what we're looking for, that sweet spot or that optimal level of balance between the comfort and discomfort or underwhelm and overwhelm. When we are motivated enough but not overwhelmed. And that's exactly what allows us to feel most alive. Basically, I work with a lot of athletes, for example. Well, if you're an athlete, you want to operate at the edge of your comfort zone. Obviously, if you push yourself over the edge, you're going to hurt yourself and probably crash. If you underwhelm yourself operating too close to the center of the comfort zone, you're not going to perform as strong as you would like to. So basically, that's the constant pursuit of people who want to perform at peak or at a certain high level of performance. But obviously, we're not talking about just high level of performance. We're talking about recuperating from losing certain performance ability.
And also, we're talking this as you're talking. This has a strong resonance for me with my wife, who, because of her advanced Parkinson's disease, her normal condition is over the edge of her comfort zone into pain and discomfort. She can just sit down on a chair and she's in pain and discomfort because Parkinson's disease has caused every muscle in her body to contract, and so it's like her whole body is in one giant Charlie horse.
I understand.
So, it's 3 o'clock.
So getting her, like, I have to push myself up to my comfort zone. We have to find a way to get her back down.
Right.
One of the things we do is we take her to the ocean and we float her in the ocean. And that works to kind of allow her to get back into her comfort zone.
Well,
but one of the things I want to do is look for ways to that don't involve so much getting her to the beach, the whole big deal, getting her back into her comfort zone.
Right. So a paradoxical approach that I often take when working with people with Parkinson's and with any other type of tension, chronic tension in particular, but also acute tension. For example, if a person is injured or had a car accident, they are more likely than not have acute tension, for example, a whiplash. A lot of people also cause themselves acute tension by just overstretching. Again, stretching by definition is pushing yourself over the edge of the comfort zone in regard to flexibility. And then people expect to benefit from that somehow. They actually cause themselves an injury. Obviously, the body will need to recuperate from that somehow, but they often think that, oh, I need to stretch more so that I become more flexible. Now, what I always suggest is, instead of stretching, learning how to increase and decrease tension at will. Because if the person is already tense, for example, a person has a tense muscle, and we can talk about Parkinson's as like global tension, but we can talk about a specific muscle first. If you have a muscle tension, you most likely are not doing it consciously. It's an unconscious tension. Nobody in the right mind would be just constantly tense all the time. But if you want to decrease that level of tension or reduce the tension so it become more relaxed, you're trying to perform a conscious act. But if you don't know how you consciously ended up tense, then how can you actually consciously release tension? Because you don't even know how you're doing it. So one of the paradoxical approaches that I often use is to learn how to tense up on purpose. Now, a lot of people say, wait a moment, but I'm already tense. I don't want to be more tense. I say, yes, I do. I understand that you're already tense. And you do want to know how to tense up, because then you take over the process. You take responsibility for your tension. Essentially, if you do it consciously, then you can also quit doing it consciously. You cannot stop doing that which you do unconsciously, because you don't even know that you're doing it or how you're doing it. So essentially, it's a really interesting, very effective, almost counterintuitive approach. Kind of similar to reverse psychology, if you will. You basically learn how to tense up the muscle that is already tense. Now, if you know how you did it, then you know how to tone it down or turn it up. So basically, you now have the handle on it. You can adjust the level of tension to your liking. So even when the person increases the tension in the muscle first, then I say, don't just drop it. Slowly bring it down to maybe half of that tension, so 50%. Now, can you bring it up maybe to 60 or 70%? Okay, now let's bring it down to maybe 30%. Now, can you bring it up to 40%? So basically, we go through this range of contraction and relaxation, developing a very clear awareness of how much tension we're doing, how we're creating this tension, essentially creating new neural pathways. So that now it's not an autonomous central nervous system. You actually do it completely consciously. You send conscious signals of contraction to the muscle, which are slightly different neural pathways, which basically it will create a new trail, so to speak, communicating between the central nervous system and your muscles, that will initially feel weird, because it's like, wait a moment, I don't want to be tense. Well, how can you stop being tense if you don't know how you ended up there in the first place? So in a sense, it's like a practice of non-doing, but we do this first by sending more signals of contraction, but do it carefully so you don't push yourself over the edge. For your wife, it will be a significant challenge, because it's so easy for her to push herself over the edge. So for her, she won't go to 100%. She will go only maybe to 20%. But that's acceptable. If we exercise that number one principle of acceptance, which allows you to pay attention, then that allows you to basically increase the tension consciously, and do this only to the degree that you feel like, I'm bringing myself to the edge of the comfort zone. Now I'm at 50-50 comfort versus discomfort. Now let's explore what it's like to be on this edge. You know, the more time you spend exploring the edge of the comfort zone, the more your comfort zone actually naturally expands because you get used to being on that edge, and thereby you become more comfortable there. So that means that the comfort zone actually grew. Then when you tone down your level of tension, and you can go again through certain stages or steps, you go from 20%, for example, to 10. Maybe from 10 go up to 15. Maybe from 15 let's go down to 7%. And then let's go to 5%. Let's go to 3%. Let's go to 1%. And then let's go down to 0. Now, when the person goes through this kind of stair-stepping, often, especially for the first time, they have this amazing aha experience. Oh my God, I had no idea that I can actually achieve real relaxation. But that relaxation was not achieved by trying to get relaxed, because there is no signal of relaxation that the central nervous system sends to the muscles. There are only more signals of contraction or fewer signals of contraction. And so what we do is we learn how to send these signals consciously so that we become in charge of these signals.
So that you don't regard relaxation as something that you're doing. Instead, you become aware of how you're not doing or how you're doing tension.
Exactly.
And then
Essentially,
once you become aware of it, you can not do it.
Yes, you're learning how to stop doing tension. Or you basically become so aware of how you create tension. Then you exercise the freedom of choice, whether to keep doing it or to stop doing it, or do less of it. And that is a really interesting thing. If you learn how to do less tension, but not drop all the way down to 0, it's actually healthy. Because it's healthy to maintain certain muscle tone. You don't want to be just completely flaccid and limp. Having a little bit of tension is okay. We don't want to have undue tension, but 2, 3, 5% of tension is quite all right. As a matter of fact, that's something that also facilitates the flow of lymph, because lymph doesn't have a heart. Like the blood has a heart to pump it, but the lymph doesn't have a heart, doesn't have the pump, so it relies on the contraction and relaxation of the muscles. Now, if the muscles are constantly tense, which is the case often with Parkinson's disease, it also prohibits or restricts the circulation of lymph. Obviously also creates circulation of blood, a restriction to the circulation of blood. But most importantly, the lymph, which is very important for our health and well-being because it facilitates washing away of the toxins and metabolic waste from all the muscles and organs. Plus also lymph distributes or helps distribute white blood cells, which is basically the immune system of the body. So what we do is we learn how to pump the lymph consciously. We start facilitating that thing that would not be natural for most people. But if we maintain undue tension, well, it's something that we probably would benefit from a great deal. Now, as we do this contraction and relaxation, we go through such a range that eventually the range increases. So maybe your wife can increase from going from 5% to 20%, and eventually she may go higher up, maybe to 25%, maybe drop further down to 4 or even 3%. And as she goes through the wider and wider range, she will facilitate greater circulation of lymph. She will be able to gain more mobility. And also, she will be able to release tension when she no longer needs it.
Right. I think with her, the problem is going to be that she often perceives herself as already being at like 100%.
Right.
Like her whole body is just so tense, and and it is. I mean, I can actually feel it. It's like you tense your muscle as much as you can. That's what her arm feels like all the time.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
I don't know if she's going to perceive herself as being able to tense up more. Like she will probably feel I'm already 100% tense. But
I
we have
bet
ways working around that.
I bet she is not equally tense in the morning versus afternoon versus evening, or one day is compared to another day.
Mm-hmm.
True or false?
Yes, true. Yeah.
So
She has better
she's not
neurotransmission
always
in
at
the morning.
100%. Maybe sometimes she is at 100%. Sometimes maybe
Uh-huh.
she's only at 90. Maybe when
Mhm.
she's tired, she drops that level further down, maybe to 40 or 50%. Maybe in the morning
Mhm.
when she just wakes up, she is not at 100% yet. So in other words, there are certain fluctuations in her level of tension. If she experiences
Mhm.
these fluctuations and starts paying attention to that, she will discover something remarkable. She'll discover that she is not the same way or all the time. There are certain moments or certain periods of time when she is more relaxed, and some other times when she is less relaxed or more tense. Now, then we start noticing what are the causalities, or basically, what do I do or what do I need to experience so that I become more tense? What do I do or what do I need to experience so that I become less tense? In other words, we discover that there are cause and effect. We start connecting the dots. If I
Mhm.
realize that I do certain things and I become more tense, then I wonder if I can experiment with that. How do I know that it really works that way? Well, let's do this, which I think leads to more tension, and see what kind of results I get. Now, this requires some degree of courage because a person may think, oh my God, I'm going to throw myself into this complete seizure or, complete muscular contraction.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
where
I think my
mindfulness.
wife has a good sense of what throws her into this contraction. It has
Yeah.
to do a lot with worry and fear about the future, and we've worked a lot with trying to alleviate that, to break that habit. But over the years, what I've come to see is that she's actually addicted to fearful thinking. She's addicted to thinking fearfully about the future. And the more I watch her and observe her, the more clearer it gets to me that she's actually addicted to it. Even when she knows it's hurting her, sometimes she can't stop.
Well,
so we're also working on that.
I actually produced a meditation CD in which at least a couple of meditations are dedicated specifically to addressing this issue. The thing is that a lot of people who practice meditation don't really study Qigong. And for some reason, people who study Qigong don't produce a lot of meditation CDs. I don't know why, but I certainly decided to bridge this gap. And it actually is very important because if you are practicing energy awareness as in Qigong, you can apply it to energy experience in meditation. Now, what kind of energy experiences are we talking about? We're not just talking about feeling energy like hearing something or maybe having some flashes of light or maybe seeing auras. Essentially, every thought we have in our minds, any idea or any image, they're made of energy, and energy of consciousness. That's exactly the stuff that dreams are made of.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything in the dream, however tangible it may feel, is made of pure energy, the energy of consciousness. Now, if we understand that the same principles of energy awareness applies to dreams, and means that it applies to both night dreams as well as daydreams, then we can actually use these principles of energy awareness whenever we are daydreaming about anything. And essentially, any thought about the future just like any thought about the past, is a form of a daydream. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely.
So whenever we're thinking about something, whether it happened in the past or something that we think may happen in the future, we're daydreaming. And if we're daydreaming, we essentially are experiencing some kind of energy. If we focus on a particular aspect of the dream that we don't resonate with, for example, something happened in the past, something we didn't appreciate, or we wish it didn't happen, or it made us angry, or it made us sad, or it made us feel guilty or remorseful. Essentially, the more we focus on that which happened in the past, which we didn't appreciate, didn't resonate with, the more we focus our attention on the type of energy in the dream that we don't resonate with. Obviously, when we don't resonate with something and we focus attention on it, we're experiencing dissonance in the present moment. Now, how do we know that we experience dissonance? It's like, for example, listening to music. Maybe you have a collection of music, or maybe your wife does. If you listen to some songs in your collection that you really like, you really resonate with, you can probably listen to them for hours because you really like them. Now, probably you have some pieces of music in your collection that you don't really care about. They somehow made it their way into your collection, but you don't really like them. Maybe you can't even stand them. So, somebody puts that piece of music on that you can't stand or you don't like. What are you going to experience? Probably you start cringing. Probably you will feel like you can't wait to turn it off or switch to some other. Now, that's exactly what it's like to experience dissonance in the present moment. Now, when we focus attention on those thoughts that we don't resonate with, we experience the same physiological response. We cringe. Basically, we become more tense. So, an easy connection, or a way to connect the dots, is basically to say that we become tense as a result of focusing on things we don't resonate with. I don't want to say that's an absolute truth, but it's a pretty universally valid principle. The principle of energy resonance. That if you resonate